This shoe pretty much promises to deliver everything that this shoe can do, but better. Now, do I agree with that? Well, I agree with it. In today's shoe comparison review, so we have got the Vomeros going head to head here. So the brand new Nike Vomero Premium up against the Vomero Plus. So I'll go through their similarities, differences, and key features, and hopefully from that, that'll give you guys a great indication of choosing the right shoe for you. But before we get into it, a big shout out to my #1 running store, the Running Company at Geelong. I've got a link to their website in the description. Make sure you go check out that and check out all their running gear. And also guys, if you haven't done so already and you want to support the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And with the specs, they're both neutral, max, cushion daily trainers. And what jumps out to me there, certainly first of all, the big price difference between these two shoes. So you're going to pay a fair bit more for the Premium over the Plus. Now, I'm not too sure if that price is warranted, but we'll talk about that later. But what also jumped out to me there about the price is, I actually think in Australia, the price point here is not too bad when in comparison to the other so what price point this is in other countries around the world. So in the US and certainly in Europe, this is coming in at a really expensive shoe. Now, the weight there, as you can see, a big difference in the weight. You can certainly notice it in the hand, and I tell you what, you can really notice it on the foot as well. And in the stack heights, you're getting a much taller stack here. In the Premium over the Plus, and again, that is certainly noticeable. You feel much higher off the ground in the Premium. But what I will say is the 10mm in drop in both shoes actually doesn't feel that high to me. And in the uppers, well, both shoes use a engineered mesh, but the mesh is different in both shoes. I think you get more of a double layer or a slightly thicker layer here in the Vomero Plus. That's why I don't think it is quite as breathable as the Vomero Premium. However, both got really solid heel counters, both have plush padding, both have got these super plush padded tongues, and I probably will mention that even though the shoes have got an engineered mesh which is quite breathable, the shoes may appear to be hot, and that's just because of that tongue. It's just so big and puffy, and it's just really blocking that air getting through and cooling the foot down on the run. But an interesting little difference here in the padding, although they've both got plush padding, what you get in the Premium, you get this sort of big sort of Achilles pillow on the back, and you don't get that in the Premium. Now, with our tongues, as I've just mentioned, big, puffy, and plush, but you get a full gusseted tongue here in the Premium. So it's pretty much like an internal sock. So this gusset goes all the way into the front of the foot, where we don't get a gusset here in the Plus. With our lacing systems, two totally different things going on here. So with the Premium, we've got reinforced eyelets, and they use these shoelaces that I haven't seen in a Nike shoe before. But if you watch my first impressions review in this shoe, I have had some issues with just trying to get the laces pressure right in this shoe, and also in the lockdown, whereas I don't have the issue here in the Plus. So they don't have eyelets here except for right at the top where you can do the runner's knot, but they've just got these cables and these different shoelaces, certainly much more normal shoelaces that you find in other models. I think just accommodates a better fit all around through the midfoot. So again, I don't struggle with the laces pressure in this shoe at all. And overall, I think the lockdown is much better in the Plus than certainly what it is in the Premium. And I have struggled with a little bit of heel slippage as well in the Premium. In the fit, both shoes in the length fit exactly the same. So both true to size in the length. They are probably a little bit long. In the width, to look at, they both look exactly the same, but when you put the shoes on, the Premium actually feels like the wider shoe. I actually don't think it is, but I just think it's got more volume in the shoe in general, and it just appears, or it just gives a perception that the shoe feels wider. But there's certainly much more volume in the shoe in the Premium than what there is in the Plus. And in the outsoles, same high abrasion rubber, same waffle lug design on the bottom. So that means they are going to perform the same. So in the grip, pretty good in all conditions, and durability in both shoes is not too bad as well. These lugs will show signs of wear quite early on, but once they grind down to the way that you run, then things hold pretty firm there for quite a while. So what the differences are though in the bottom of these outsoles, So in the Premium here, you can see we've got this channel and they've got these holes where you can see those air zoom units. So after the run, from my experience, I'm getting a lot of debris getting caught in these pods, so leaf litter, a little bit of mud, some stones and sticks, where you don't have that issue here in the Plus. And in the midsole, so we've got a really simple design going on here in the Plus and a bit of a techie design going on here in the Premium. So with the Premium, they are using their premium super foam, so ZoomX foam. I'm going to say 2 layers because they've got their top layer and you can see the join all the way through this ZoomX, because then they need to put these air zoom units in the front and in the back of the shoe. So same sort of air zoom units, or a similar concept of what you're going to find in the Alpha Flyer, but however I do think that they're engineered differently, certainly for a different type of use. And then our bottom layer of ZoomX on the bottom there. So there's no plate in the shoe, but rigidity wise, it is a super stiff shoe. So it's stiffer than plates out there that do have, shoes out there that do have plates in it. Geometry, so I'm going to say it's a later stage rocker and it's super duper aggressive. And we've also got a pretty prevalent rear foot rocker as well. Now in comparison, as I said before, the simple design here in the Vomero Plus, just one big slab of their premium super foam, so ZoomX, so same type of foam in either shoe. I'm not too sure if it's the exact same type of ZoomX or same formulation. It might be tweaked in both, not too sure, but it's called ZoomX in both. One big slab, no plate or anything in the shoe. Rigidity wise, it's still a stiff shoe, but you're going to get slightly more flex in the Plus over the Premium. And in the geometry department as well, we do have a 4-foot rocker. However, it is not as late, or it doesn't feel as late, and it doesn't feel as aggressive in this version than certainly over the Premium. And in the ride, well, both shoes are going to offer you a really soft, bouncy and super comfortable running experience, because they are both Vomeros, and that's what the Vomero is in Nike's lineup. So how are they different though? So we've got a mid-range Plus versus the highest range, or the highest level, the Premium. So this shoe pretty much promises to deliver everything that this shoe can do, but better. Now, do I agree with that? Well, I agree with it in a few aspects here. So with the softness, yes, this shoe is soft, but the Premium is softer. So there's more sink into the shoe. Yes, the Plus is bouncy, but yes, you get more bounce in the Premium. So I agree with it there. Now, what's surprising though is the stability. So even though this shoe is softer, it's got more bounce. For me, it feels safer. It feels more stable because it's got a wider base. Well, that's what I think it's down to. So it's about a centimetre wider in the forefoot and also in the rear. So yeah, that really gives me a lot of confidence in this shoe. I don't feel like it's unstable or wobbly at all. Now, the trade-off though between these two shoes is, remember, the price and the added weight. So I think this Plus has a lot of advantages now that the Premium doesn't have. And first and foremost is the weight difference. So it is really noticeable, and it was really noticeable when I was switching from this shoe into this shoe for today's testing. This shoe actually felt like I was putting on a really lightweight workout shoe when coming out of this. So that really surprised me, even though this is a big and bulky shoe when in comparison to other shoes. So yeah, just how light, how nimble the shoe felt. It just felt much more like a normal running shoe, while still delivering you that soft, bouncy, comfortable ride. I do think this shoe is more versatile, so it can handle a wide variety of paces. You don't have to crank it up to actually get the shoe going, where it feels you've got to really wind this boy up to get some pace out of the shoe, whereas this one sort of gets there pretty effortlessly. I really like how this shoe rides. I think it's a quite efficient ride as well, because it doesn't sink, you don't sink into it as much, even though you don't get as much bounce out of it, but I do think the ride overall is a little bit more efficient for me. It just feels much more just like a normal running shoe when in comparison to this big boy. Both these two shoes are targeted at the same types of runs, so always at those easy paced efforts, those recovery miles, daily miles as well, and also the long run. But I do favour a certain different shoe on each of those types of runs. So at those recovery paces when the legs are really banged up, I'm going to lean towards the Premium. Just that extra softness and that extra little bit of bounce. It just protects the body a little bit more. For my normal easy Ks or easy pace runs at those daily miles, I'm going to lean for the Plus. It just feels like it's just less of a shoe. It feels like a much more normal shoe, and I'd much prefer just to tick the Ks up in this shoe, because I don't want to run in this shoe too much, because again, it might ruin the experience of all the other shoes. And for the long run as well, I will prefer the lighter, more efficient feeling ride of the Plus. And just wrapping up the comparison here, so both Vomeros, both plush, soft, bouncy, super comfortable shoes. This shoe claims to do everything that this shoe can do, but better. You're going to pay a higher price, but it is a lot heavier. This shoe comes in at a great price point, can do everything that this shoe can do, but probably in a more normalized way. Both are going to be perfect for your easy days, your recovery days. Both not too bad for long run options, but you got to think about the trade-off. So is the extra price and the extra weight warranted, or does it make it a better shoe than the Plus? I'm actually not convinced. I guess when we're talking about the Premium, this shoe is a bit more of a luxury. Do you actually need this shoe? Probably not, because a lot of other shoes out there on the market can do the same types of runs, whereas the Plus. So do you need this shoe? Well, you don't need this shoe in particular, but you need a shoe like this in your rotation. So you need a max cushion shoe that can certainly handle your easy efforts, your recovery runs, and also go long when you want to do some time on feet. So that's about it between these two shoes. We've got a luxury versus a necessity here. Which way are you leaning if you have to pick between one of these two shoes? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Make sure you give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.